Hey, beautiful. I am back with my reminder for self love because self love is the loudest love language, and the way you show up for yourself shows everyone around you that this is what you deserve. And what happens is people start mirroring that love back to you. Today, I want us to talk about something that all of us needs to hear when times are tough. How to know it's going to be okay when life seems to be uncertain, or when life feels like it's very slow, when you've not found the love of your life or that dream job, or when you just feel like life is not aligning the way you had hoped that it would. And this topic is inspired by two movies that I really enjoyed that I watched recently. One of them is Look Both Ways, and another one is Players. Both of these movies are on Netflix. So if you've not watched them, I am so sorry. There might be some spoiler alerts, right? So you know that it is going to be okay when you are yourself, when you don't feel the need to shrink your personality, when you are able to laugh out loud, when you're able to be goofy, when you are able to be quirky, when you know that being yourself is okay. And I know this with my friends who are in love. They're just so goofy around each other. They are so themselves, and it is so beautiful. And what I love about authenticity is that it draws people to you who are meant to be in your life. And this does not just apply to relationships, it also applies to friendships, it also applies to jobs. And for the longest time, I've always asked myself when I go for a job interview, what do they want to hear? And I would mold and say everything that I feel like they will want to hear. For example, I remember this other time I was doing a psychometric assessment, right? And then they asked me if I were to go to a party, right? Or an event, what would I do when I get there? Would I just go and find a place to sit, or would I go and network, or I would go and network with other people? And I said that I would go and network with other people because I thought that is what they wanted. And I did not get that job. But now when I look back, I'm so glad that I did not get that job. Because imagine if you say that you are this kind of a person and you get the job that you really wanted. And then now you have to pretend like you are that person until when? Pretending and not being yourself is so exhausting. Imagine if you lied to your partner and said that maybe you love sushi when you hate it, and now you have to pretend like you love it. You have to keep eating something that you don't like just because you want the reputation that you've built for yourself to keep on continuing. So, this is what was happening on the movie The Players. The main character was a player, right? So she would find people to hook up with, and then she'd be over them. And then she found this one, and then she was like, you know what? I love this one, and I'd love to be in a serious relationship with them. And I want them to give me a drawer. Right. And she went on an investigation with her friends. They looked at what does this person like? What are their weaknesses? What places do they go to? What do they do for fun? What hobbies do they love? Everything about them. They wrote it down. And then this lady would pretend to love the same things. She would go to a jazz concert, even though she doesn't really like it. She would go to a restaurant and order food that she doesn't even like just to impress this guy. So just imagine how exhausting that is, right? And her friend was just looking at her like, do you really like that? And there were parts where she lied and she almost got caught up in her lie because she wanted to impress this guy so much that she forgot to impress herself. And what happens when you are not yourself and you are trying so much to impress other people is you end up not liking yourself very much, because she got her goal of trans she got her goal of changing this one night stand to a proper relationship, but she was not herself. And this guy did not care about her. And there was a time where she wrote an article about her life, and this guy changed all of it. He didn't care. And then that is where she realized, also being reminded by her friends, that you know what, this person doesn't care about you. You were so obsessed about making it right with this person that you forgot about who you are. Because if someone does not like, for example, your background, that person is not your person. If they don't like who you are, if they don't like the way you laugh, if they don't like the way you talk, if they don't like who you are at your core, then they are not your person. And you have to make peace with that. You need to understand that you are not going to be everyone's cup of tea. You need to understand that some people don't even like tea. So if you are a whiskey or you are a cranberry juice and someone just loves their beer, you're not going to be their favorite. It doesn't matter how beautiful, how amazing you are. So make peace with that. The second thing that I want to mention is, you know that it is going to be okay when you stop forcing things, when you let things flow the way they were meant to flow, when you are not changing yourself to appease other people, when you are not a people pleaser, you know, you know that it is going to be okay. Right. And the third one that I want to mention is, it is going to be okay when you let things unfold the way they are meant to be. This part is inspired by the movie Look Both Ways. So in this movie, there's this character, the main character, who just graduated from college, and then she took a pregnancy test, and this movie is similar to the sliding doors. And what happens is, it shows what would have happened to her life and her career if she decided to keep the baby, or like if she was pregnant and then she kept the baby. And the other part shows what would have happened if she found out that she was not pregnant. And the movie is just so beautiful. I love how at the end she went back and she looked herself in the mirror, and then she was like, I am okay. I was actually worried about that movie when I was watching, because I was thinking, oh my God, I'm so worried. What if the version of her that did not have a kid has an amazing life, an amazing career? And then the version of her that had the baby has like a horrible life, because I feel like that would have painted that if you decide to have kids, that means that your life is over. And that is not the case. So what happened in this movie is that the version of her that was not pregnant went to the varsity as she had planned. She went to LA to get a job as she had planned, and she got the job, and she was an artist. She was doing her drawings, and then she wanted this lady to help her and become her mentor. And this lady said to her, no, I'm not going to help you do that. You have to find your own voice. So she spent, I think, about 6 years trying to find her voice, doing a job that she did not like. I think she was a barista, and she tried so much to find her voice. And at the end, she ended up finding her voice. It took her 6 years to find her voice. Right. And when she eventually found her voice, that mentor was just so proud of her, telling her that, you know what, I needed to be tough on you because there are also people who were tough on me. And also, she was just so proud of herself to see that she has eventually found her voice. But I know that in that movie, I remember in that movie that there was a point where she was doubting if she will ever be okay. She was like, oh my God, I'm going to die single and broke. You know, the pressure that we put ourselves on, especially when we're about to turn 30, and we feel like when you are 30, you're so old, which is not true. And then the version of this lady that was pregnant also struggled a bit, especially when the baby was still young and she had to change the nappies. She had to have the sleepless nights. But the difference between the two versions is The version of her that had the baby found her voice easily. And I think the reason why it was easy for her to find her voice was because her voice was based on her reality. Because she started drawing about her experience as a mom, talking about when she had the sleepless nights, the stories behind those. And what I love about this movie is that even the version of herself that fell pregnant ended up doing a show with the lady that she wanted her to mentor, right? So what I took away from that movie is that people that are meant for you, opportunities that are meant for you are going to come to you. And things might not unfold the way you want them to, but eventually everything that is meant for you will be for you. You might take a different route, you might take a longer period, but at the end, you will be okay, right? And then the last one that I want to talk to you about is you know that you are going to be okay when you remember your God, when you remember who you are and whose you are. All the worst days of your life, you have survived them. All the things that you felt like you were not going to survive, you survived them. When you remember where you have been, when you remember all your struggles and how you were able to make it somehow, right? When you remember all those tough days, when you remember those days when you didn't know how it's going to end up, and now you look back and you're like, oh my God came true for me. So when you remember your God, when you remember how God has never failed you and how he will not start now, when you remember to be grateful for your journey, for where you have come from, then you know that you are going to be okay. So you might be at a point right now where you're not so happy. I want this to be your reminder that everything is going to be okay. And if it is not okay, it is not the end. Keep going. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep loving yourself. Keep forgiving yourself. Keep doing the work. Keep accepting yourself, right? Because one day soon you will be with the love of your life, or you will be in your dream car, or you'll be in your dream job, whispering to yourself that I am okay and I knew that I am going to be okay. I hope this helps. Have a day as beautiful as you are. I love you. Thank you so much for your time and your energy. Until next week. Goodbye.